You're listening to Unmuted with Papamutes.
I want to welcome to the podcast today comedian Gretchen Young. Gretchen, welcome to Papamutes.
Thank you for having me.
Now, you're in Texas, right?
I am. I'm in Dallas.
Are you a Cowboys fan?
I am a Cowboys fan, but I'm a Broncos fan above that.
Well, how's that work?
Grew up with it. My dad was a big Broncos fan. I've got some family in Colorado. It was like I didn't have an option.
Okay, we forgive you for your sins.
Yeah, it's okay. I repent for them every season. So,
now you're familiar with Bob Saget, the comedian who passed away back on January 9th?
Yes.
You know who I'm talking about, of course. The reason I bring him up is his routine. His persona was pretty clean cut, on TV, but his act was not clean cut. It was pretty blue. And so my question is, I've seen some of your stuff, and you're not exactly for children either. So when you started, did it start out blue, or did you gradually get into the more colorful language, so to speak?
That's a great question. Actually, Bob Saget is a pretty big, idol of mine, I guess, just because of that, right? Mm-hmm. It's something that is, so to answer your question, I've always been a blue comic. I've just always found humor but the thing is, it's funny because in my everyday life, like I'm not a super vulgar person, but
kind of like Bob Saget. Supposedly, from what I have read, he's a nice guy. Everyone loves him, but on stage, he's pretty, he's funny. Yeah, that's the bottom line.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever is funny and I don't actually aim. I actually feel like I need to get a clean 15 because some people won't hire me because of it. And this comedy thing, like your podcast, it's a creative thing. Of course, I'm taking it farther, hopefully. That's what my plan is, but I just, I've got it. I'm only going to say what's funny. If it's not funny to me, like I don't, comedy is hard enough as it is.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm not going to try and make something funny. There's nothing funnier than real life. And when I got into comedy, I was really figuring out who I was, and during that time, my life was like dating, sex, depression. You name it. That's where order. It was. Yeah, exactly. So now it's.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
So just to back up, how did you get into comedy? What made you say, "Hey, I want to try this"? Were you the class clown?
Growing up, I was. I did always like to make people laugh. Like when I get nervous, I just start cracking jokes. Like it makes sense to me now why I started doing comedy, but really I kind of fell into it. It was at a time in my life where like I was just failing at everything. I didn't get into the grad school I wanted. I was, working these dead end jobs, and I just knew that I needed to do more, but I had to take a really hard look at myself. And I realized that pretty much every single failure I had ever had stemmed from low self-esteem or not trusting my gut or not really having any self-worth. So I was like, I need to get some confidence ASAP. What's something I want to try? Stand-up comedy. If I do 10 open mics, I'll be 10 times more confident. And it worked.
Exactly.
And I knew about number 8 that I was going to keep doing it. And now I'm 6 years in, 7 years in maybe.
Awesome. Great.
Yeah. I stopped counting.
My next question was, what do you adjust your comedy for different audiences? But I guess not. You're blue, whether it's a conservative audience or, it's hard to say. I don't know. Is it strictly comedy clubs? You're not going into a church gathering and saying, "Hey."
Yeah, I'm not really getting hired for corporate shows or
right. That's what I mean.
Yeah, church shows. No kid parties hiring me out at all. But I do work all the clubs. I think I'd work the clubs more if I was cleaner. But I'm not really I don't cuss a lot in my sets, and I do feel like even though I am talking about sex or I am talking about these things that you wouldn't really talk about in a normal conversation, I guess. Mm-hmm. I'm not really, I don't think I'm vulgar. I feel like I try to bring an element of class to whatever I'm talking about because I think that I'm classy. I mean, I'm probably a little biased with that, but I'm kind of just at the point. I'm about 2 years into having the ability to being able to read a crowd. Oh, that didn't work, and then I can pivot. Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's a relatively new thing that I have been able to do, but it's more like, oh, do I tell this pedophile joke, or oh, that didn't work. Well, you're probably not going to like this, sexual predator joke, or like, oh no, you guys aren't cool with sex on your period jokes. Okay, all right, so maybe I'm just going to go back into how I'm a modern day Cinderella, and instead of trying on shoes, I'm trying on dicks. So
So,
it just,
so you're
it's all kind of in
adjusting.
the same.
So you're adjusting as you go. In other words, on stage.
Yeah, it's kind of
I mean, that's rough.
I usually I well I'm no. So let me back up. I actually am very structured. I have, let me see if I'm gonna set around here. But it looks like notes, like bullet points. Like I have like I definitely have a set list. Um but I've just, as I've gotten the ability to do longer, like 30, I've just recently been able to get like a club ready 40-minute set.
Okay.
And I don't know. Sometimes it's honestly by accident. Like I'm very meticulous on how the storyline goes.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm very mindful of that. But there's a lot of times I get on stage and it's like 20 minutes in and I accidentally tell like a joke that's not till 10 minutes later, and then I gotta figure it out.
I hear you.
But
How far outside of Texas have you gone, work-wise, comedy-wise, to perform?
so I've been to New York a couple times. I've been to
Oh, really?
Chicago.
Nice.
Yeah, I've been to Madison, Wisconsin. But that took a lot of effort on I mean, no one was flying me up there. The way how I've been doing this throughout the years is that I do intensives. So first off, I'll apply to a bunch of different festivals, and just see which one I get in, and then
Okay.
I can make my travel plans around that.
Mm-hmm.
But then sometimes I will just go, like when I went to Chicago, for a week. I could work remotely. I took an improv class at Second City for 3 days, like,
Really?
and every
Nice.
day for 7 days, I just hit every single open mic in town. And and that's what I did with the first time I went to New York. I literally just went there, slept on someone's couch, like, and went to every single open mic I could find. And you can hit open mics from 9 a.m. all the way around to 9 a.m. again in New York,
Yeah,
And
of
so
course.
it's just like it's kind of crazy and it's intense, but you are definitely better. Like there was one time where I had like 8 or 9 performances in a day just because I was hitting all these different open mics and then got on a show and all of that, and I was exhausted. And then I took a day off the next day, but then that next day that I got back on, I was like fire. Like I had used that muscle, worked it out, rested it, and then was ready to use it again. And then by doing that you get contacts. Social media is great.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And then now it's like, before COVID I would go to New York every year at least once. And like I did try and produce a show or I did produce a show up there. Just kind of, I like to dabble. I don't
Sure.
really know where this thing's gonna go.
You're training.
And
You're,
so
you're working
yeah,
out. You're working it all out. Sure, of course.
exactly.
Makes sense. Now, who do you admire in the comedy world? Doesn't necessarily
Well,
have to
but
be a famous person, but I mean, who you look and say, oh yeah, you know.
well, a lot of my peers. There's just a ton of people. I'm just really lucky, and I'm around like a very the DFW comedy scene. Since I got in it, it's a great scene. Everyone's like pretty nice. I mean, everyone's pretty hardworking. Um, and recently in Texas, it's just blown up. A lot of people have gone to Austin. Houston is a fantastic market. Um, I feel like a lot of my peers are who inspire me, not just like of course it's competitive, right?
Oh, of
Like if
course.
they've got the stage time, you don't. But at the same time, like it's good to be surrounded by people who are better than you, right? People who are like excelling,
Hmm.
who are just better than you, right? And so I would say that my peers have a much bigger influence on me than anybody famous ever has. But I because I didn't, when I started stand-up comedy, like I had watched it a little bit, and even now, like I don't spend my time watching a ton of stand-up comedy. Like I haven't seen a lot of the specials. Like I'm pretty busy as it is
Focused on
and
yourself.
can
Yeah.
barely. Yeah, but I mean it is good. I mean I should be watching it more because it's good to watch a professional do it,
Oh, sure.
But yeah, I mean, I guess professionally, like Bob Saget was really, I loved him.
Have you seen him in person or on YouTube or anything? I've never.
No, I never.
Yeah.
Oh well, yeah. Like I mean, I've like Googled his stuff, his
Hmm.
sets, but um, honestly, it was more the person that I was like influenced by. You know,
Sure.
you would see him in like Entourage, and he'd be this vulgar character, and that was like the first time where I was like, wait, what? And then it kind of went through this rabbit hole, right?
Hmm.
But yeah, I like
Who's the?
I liked.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Who's the funniest person you know that's not a comedian?
Oh gosh, I know so many funny people.
Like no,
Um,
someone who's not. You say, "Oh my God, you should do this," but they don't. They just don't have it. But you know what I mean? Like a friend, a relative. No
Gosh. Well,
pressure.
I've got a couple girlfriends. Oh God, who should I say?
Oh,
Because there's
maybe we
like
should
a
do
lot.
multiple choice.
Yeah, so I've got these two girlfriends, Bria and Elise. They are just like they're so quick-witted, but
Mm.
they just kind of like slip it in there. Um, they like are very like they just kind of say things that it's just like they say it and they're like so pretty and it's like I don't know if you meant to be funny or not, but that is fucking hilarious. You know, like it's kind of like it kind of keeps me on my toes a little bit. But I also had an ex-boyfriend when I first started comedy. I literally had just started when I met him. And we didn't work out, but he might be the funniest person I've ever met
Really?
compared to like yeah he might be the funniest person I've ever met.
But
I do have
but
I'm
not in the
dating someone
business.
right.
But he's not in the business,
He's
so to
not in the
speak.
business, he's in cybersecurity.
That's funny.
Yeah, I like it's kind of just different kinds of humor, right? Like I've got some friends, like my friend John McKill is like very like funny, you know what I mean? My
Hmm.
grandma was super like savage funny. Like she would just say things that would just be like she'd say it like this, but it would cut you to your core. And it was just funny though at the same time. Like I don't know.
Gotta love
She's kind of
grandmas.
like the first roaster in my life, I guess.
Have you
My sister's
ever
pretty funny.
have you ever bombed?
Oh, like I don't even way more than I've like crushed.
So what do you do? What's the feeling? What do you? I mean, you're up there and you're like, oh, this is not working. I mean, you got to push
Well,
through, right?
oh yeah, you got to push through. Like it's like a I've come to the conclusion that I'm a masochist, right? Just because like I keep going back up there. Like it's like the first time it just like gosh, because when you kill, right?
So good. It's like
And
hitting a good golf shot. You just want to do it again.
you just like it's like you just have to savor it. Like a good set, you just like there have been times where I go on stage and it's like I just it's almost like a blackout. Like it's like and everything is just hitting. It's amazing. But when it doesn't, or like when I get up there and I don't do my best and I bomb because I didn't do my best, it's just like take me out back. No, better yet, I'll take me out back. All right. Like it's like you just want to die. Like I remember one of my first open mics, I just went to my car and just cried,
Really?
over telling bad jokes and no one laughing. It's just like it was like 1,000 daggers. But then, the first couple times are the worst. And then,
You build up a shield.
first, yeah, it's like, and that's the thing that really built my confidence with comedy is like there's something about going up night after night and shitting the bed night after night and then
Hmm.
going up there again and having to do it again that really builds your confidence, right?
Hmm.
And so I don't know. It's like that's where I think that it is really helped me in my everyday life is that I've got this real ability to handle criticism. And I think that that puts me above a lot of my peers in just like my regular working environments, relationship environments, like friends, family, all of that. Like I can handle
So
as much shit
you
as
have a
I
thick
put out
skin.
there.
You have a
Yeah.
thick skin. Yeah.
And I always have. Like I'm someone who's dealt with way more criticism and failure in my life than success. So I I feel like it's just like it makes sense that I'm doing comedy right now.
Awesome. Um, now I could be wrong. You have a modeling background, or
I
did
do
you
have
do
a
some
modeling
modeling?
background. I kind of want to I wouldn't say well yes, I do have a modeling background. whenever I first moved to Dallas, I was 26, or maybe I was 25, 24, something like that. Anyway, I must have been 24. And I didn't get into the grad school that I wanted. I'd always had this opportunity to model. And so I just came to Dallas. I'm from Tulsa, and I lived with my aunt and uncle, and I just did it. I had been in school. I hadn't had the best experience with school. I put modeling, I mean, I had been getting offers to model big time since I was 14. And
You're pretty
I
tall,
just
right?
never,
How
I'm very
tall?
tall. I'm like just under 5'10", but I always bump it up. Um, but yeah, I just did it. I kind of just went there. I was definitely the oldest girl to just start really getting into it. And that was just kind of like a box I wanted to check. So there was a good 4-year time period where that was my main source of income. And
I mean,
I'm proud of that.
that takes confidence too. I mean, it's a different kind of confidence, but you
It
gotta
prepared me. And that's actually how I eventually ended at stand up. Is my agency told me that I needed to start taking acting classes, because
really
I was like, so that I can just start going on to the commercial side of things, right?
got it.
Well,
Okay.
acting classes were way more expensive than improv classes. So I took improv classes instead and ended up loving it. Like, graduated the program at Dallas Comedy House. And then after that, but the thing is like, so improv makes you better in every aspect of your life. Like, I can work a room better because of it. I'm a better comedian. I'm a better person when I do improv, but I don't really love it.
Really?
And and it was hard for me to make friends in the improv community. I don't know what it was, but like, I just always kind of felt like this is a really good exercise, but it's not something that I'm super passionate about. I know this
Okay.
is good for me, and I see I'm developing a skill set, so I'm going to keep doing it. So then there was just like this intro to stand up class, and it was during that time that I mentioned I was like, okay, I'm going to do 10 open mics, but I was such a pussy about it because that was my New Year's resolution, was 10 open mics. Well, here it is, uh, September. I haven't done any of them. You know what I mean? So I was like, I need something that I can do. So I was like, oh, stand-up class. I didn't know that existed. I'm going to do that. So I did a stand-up class. We developed 3 minutes, and then I had, I'm very big on resolutions. So I had to, from October to December, I had to bang out those 10 open mics. And I think that really helped me, having to be like, you know what I
You
mean?
have to be structured. Yes, exactly. So
Mm-hmm.
now, the modeling, obviously. So you're a very attractive woman. Do you think that is
Say it again.
you're a very attractive woman?
Kidding.
No, you are. So do you think that's a benefit or a negative, or it doesn't matter on stage?
I just tell myself it doesn't matter. In my mind, it doesn't matter. There's like no reason why it should matter. But there are some learning curves with it, right? So when
Okay.
I first started doing stand up, I noticed, so I would watch my peers, right? And I'd say like 95% of them would be talking about their appearance. Well, no one wants to hear about a 5'10" blonde's problems. Like, I found that out really quick. So when I first started, I had to, what they wanted to hear about was degrading things. Like, they wanted to take away from my beauty. And I was like, oh, I could do that, like, and so that's kind of where it started. Like, I just started talking about how I wasn't respected on dates, or how, I don't know. Sometimes I would talk, you have to be real careful when you talk about your weight, or I don't know. I think that I just, I've been in it so long, and I've definitely, not so long. I really haven't been in it that long in the grand scheme of things, but I've proven myself to a point that, like, um, I don't know if anyone's discrediting me for that anymore. They might be, but there's nothing I can do about it. So I'm,
You are who you are.
yeah, but it's kind of weird. Like, whenever, it kind of helps my set in a way. Like, it definitely will hurt me on the social side of things, on the networking side of things, right?
Really?
It definitely made me have to level up, because if I went up there and I wasn't funny and I looked like this, like, no one's gonna take me serious. I'm just some fucking bimbo going up there trying to get attention, right? But if I go up there and just murder, then you have to respect me. And so, as long as I'm funny, it doesn't really matter what I look like. But when I dress up more and I look better, my jokes hit harder, because they do not expect this. Because it's like, I feel like I have a very, and I got, thank God, I've got like a very um, gosh, what's it called? Like an angelic face, right? Like you don't expect me to say what I'm going to say, which worked out great for me all through high school when I was like partying and all that stuff. Like, I mean, I don't look like I just did drugs all weekend, you know? So therefore I didn't, you know?
There you go. There you go.
I think it's like that thing where it's just like, they don't expect it to come out of my mouth. Like,
Catch them off guard. Yeah.
yeah.
How about if you were forced to, another profession outside of comedy and skits and entertainment, what would it be?
You know,
That you would like, or you think you would like?
you know, I'm very good with people and I'm very good with networking. I'm very good with logistics. I think I might, you know, go into a producer type role, which I've dabbled in. If I am not performing, then I would like to be producing. My day job now is I work for a startup company. It's a moving brokerage software, and I vet all the movers that come onto our platform. And so it's like very relationship based. You know, you have to be able to talk to people. You have to be able to educate people. But I like putting things together. So like, you know, producing a show is really satisfying for me, right?
Okay.
And I do it at a pretty high level. So I guess some sort of, if I'm not performing, it would be some sort of like producer type role.
Okay.
That I don't know if it would be like producing parties or comedy shows, but I like to have fun, right? And I like everyone else to have fun.
Support
over
that
me
100%.
having fun.
Yeah, support that
Yeah.
100%. Would you rather be a very famous model? I'm talking top of the line, or a very famous comic, top of the world?
Comic.
Both. I agree. That would be much
Yeah.
more fun.
Yeah, it is. Modeling is a very restrictive job. It's a very high pressure job. It's a job where, I mean, I never did it at a high level, but the level that I was at, I mean, when I think about it, I'm at a normal weight now. I'm like 155, almost 5'10". I was 30 pounds less than this just 4 years ago. And I was hungry all the time. I really wasn't very happy.
Okay.
I felt really insecure all the time. But like with comedy, it's weird. It's like you feel really insecure. Like anything you do at a high level, you'll have insecurities, but it really does. If you're the real deal, if you can really hold your shit together, you'll build the confidence.
There you go. So you're in Hollywood, you're hanging out, you're a star. You can spend a weekend, okay, with someone. Whatever happens, happens. None of our business, but you know what I'm saying. I'm going to give you some names. You might have someone in mind, but I'm just going to, you know, for the sake of this particular segment, weekend away, get away, whatever happens, happens. Bradley Cooper, Zac Efron, Michael B. Jordan, or John Hamm? You can't have all four. Sorry.
What was the first one?
Bradley Cooper, Zac Efron, Michael B. Jordan, the actor, or John Hamm?
Probably Michael B. Jordan.
Okay. Now let's say you're on the other side of the fence. Which woman would you spend time with? Jennifer Aniston, Emma Watson, Halle Berry, or Rihanna?
Rihanna.
That was quick.
Yeah.
Just hypothetical.
All those women are awesome. Yeah, hell yeah. Anytime I could spend on with Rihanna would be dope. I'd be like just taking notes the whole time. How do I be like you?
So that leads me to a segment I call Dead or Alive. Papamutes t-shirt is on the line. You only need one right. Although Jamie Gravy was bragging about his abilities to not miss a question. As soon as I find my notes here. Hold on. Here we go. So this is very simple. Just a fun thing. I'll give you a name. You tell me within a reasonable time frame if they're dead or alive. You ready for this challenge?
I'm probably not gonna be. All right, let's go.
Okay.
Let's see.
Let's do it. Dead or alive?
Okay.
Jamie Gravy.
Dead to me. Not kidding. Alive.
I knew that was coming. Little Texas flavor. George Bush Sr., 41st President of the United States. George Bush Sr., dead or alive?
Dead?
That was a guess, right?
He dead?
He's dead.
Yeah, it's a guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
Jason Aldean.
He's alive.
Country. He is alive,
Yeah.
correct? Ted Danson, actor. Famous for Cheers, but he's done so many shows I've lost
I
track.
think he is. Is he dead? I think he's dead.
I need a question.
Is he alive?
I mean, I need a question. I have the question. Wait a minute. Let me hit the sauce here. Hold on. I'm confusing my answers and questions.
Yeah. I'm going to go dead.
He's alive. Poor Teddy. You put him in the ground. Jesus.
Yeah, sorry, Ted.
Michael Williams, famous for acting on The Wire. Have you ever seen the show The Wire?
You know it. It's on my to-do list. Everyone says you have to watch it. Yeah.
My favorite.
And I'm
Top
real
of the
into
line.
binging shows.
It's so good. Don't even get me started. But anyway, he was an actor on
Yeah,
it.
that's how everyone talks about. Okay, I'm gonna start it this week. Euphoria is almost done, so I'm gonna go with dead.
He is dead. Unfortunately, young. Carol Burnett, old school.
Alive?
She is alive. From San Antonio, Texas.
Oh, really?
Another Texas person, Corpus Christi. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Corpus Crispy?
Yeah, you are.
Crispy Critters. Farrah Fawcett.
She's dead.
She is dead, unfortunately.
I know. She's so gorgeous. I love how she did her hair.
Mm-hmm.
Such a babe.
Yep. Last one. George Clooney.
Alive.
He is alive. Not bad, not bad. Let's try this one. Celebrity real names. I'm going to give you the real name. You tell me who you think it is. Now, I do have multiple choice here just to make it a little easier. Unless you know right away.
Okay.
If you know right away, then not a problem. Whose name is really Earl Simmons? Is that DMX, Snoop Dogg, or Will Smith? Earl Simmons.
DMX?
Correct.
Yeah!
You know what DMX stands for?
No.
I don't either, but thank God for Google. It has to do with when he was younger, he would play a drum machine, and it was branded DMX drum machine or something. Anyway, a little history there. Who was born Calvin Cordoza Brodus? I might be butchering that a little, but is that Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, or Seth Rogen? Calvin Cordoza Brodus.
Dr. Dre?
No, that is Snoop Dogg.
Oh, dang.
Norma Jean Mortensen. Farrah Fawcett, Tara Banks, or Marilyn Monroe?
Marilyn Monroe.
Correct. Alicia Cook. Is that Alicia Keys, Megan Stallion, or Meghan Markle? Alicia Cook, real name.
Alicia Keys?
Correct. She's on a roll. Robin Fenty. Fenty. Robin Fenty. Is that Lady Gaga, Cher, or Rihanna? Real name. Robin Fenty.
Rihanna?
Yes. I almost said no. Yes, correct. Last one. Aubrey, not Audrey. Aubrey Graham. Is that Dr. Phil, Dr. Dre, or Drake? Aubrey Graham, real name.
You said it was Dr. Phil.
Dr. Phil, Dr. Dre, or Drake?
Drake?
Correct. That's a sweep.
All right.
Well, except for Snoop Dogg. That's fine. All right.
Yeah.
Not bad. Not bad. All right. Last segment. Well, not really. Second to last. So this is just fun stuff. Celebrity nicknames.
Okay.
Who is called the Juice?
OJ?
Yes. Who's called Tricky Dick? And no, it's not Jamie Gravy. Tricky
I have no
Dick.
idea.
Probably before your time. You probably weren't born. I'll give you a hint. It's a 37th president. Not that that helps. Not that I would know. I know because of
Oh my God.
Tricky Dick.
I have no idea.
It's Richard Nixon. Richard Nixon.
Okay, Richard. Yeah, duh.
Richard.
That makes sense.
Who was called the pelvis? There's a theme here. The pelvis. Oh, come on. You can't be that young.
Okay, so the first one was OJ. The next one was Nixon. And then this
I would
is the
say this
pelvis.
person, the pelvis, is one of the most famous people ever. I mean, at his peak, like
Elvis?
Elvis the pelvis, right? Elvis the pelvis. All right, last one. This is pretty relevant because of the Olympics are on. Who's called the flying tomato? Have to be a Olympic follower, I guess, to get this one. The
No
flying
idea.
tomato is Shaun White because he has red hair.
Oh,
He flies through
that
the
makes
air.
sense.
Yeah, the snowboard, 3-time gold medal winner. Anyway, so any advice for an aspiring comic, someone who is like, I'm going to go to the open mics. I'm going to start this thing. I think I can do it. Any advice?
Do it. You just have to go and do it. If you're someone that just like needs to have instruction and you don't, if you go there and you watch open mics, you're going to find out very quickly that you aren't going to be the least funny person there. And even if you are, that's going to be you at some point anyway. But you can at least like see what people do. You can see like what their mannerisms are, what like what's expected of you, like, what is inappropriate behavior, I guess. Like, it's just, you also like, don't be afraid to take a class. If you think something is funny, just write it down in your notes because you will not remember it. And I promise you'll be happy when you go back and like go through it. Like my phone and my notes is like just bullshit things that I think is funny. They're not actual jokes. They're just things that I saw or heard or thought of or whatever.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you can make your friends laugh, but that's different. On stage, it's a whole different animal.
Yeah.
You agree? I mean, you could be funny with friends, but when you get up there, you better be focused.
Well, I mean, but don't be afraid to fail. You know what I mean? If you're going to fail hard. Don't kind of fail, really do it. But also know that if you have this itch to do it and you don't scratch it, you will get bitter. That's end of story. Like, you will be that fucking weirdo in the back of a comedy show telling jokes of his own that no one wants to hear to your table members. Like, you will be the person who's like angry for no reason because this aspect, like, if not everybody has the itch to do it, they might want to go watch it. But if you have the itch to do it, you have to itch it, and you can't itch it just once, right? Like, you need to make really sure to yourself where you stand with this. Like, do the 10 thing that I did. Don't just do it once. Don't do it twice. Do it 10 times. And then if you don't like it after that, then I would view it how I view improv. It's just like just an exercise.
Right. You don't want to regret not doing it. Is the bottom line.
And it's never too late to do it. Like, I used to host open mics and I go to open mics all the time. Like, there are old people that go there. They've never done it. It's just something they've always wanted to do. And there's also people there that a lot of the people at open mics will never be a professional comedian, but it's therapeutic to get up there and tell a bunch of dick jokes or whatever you want to talk about. You know what I mean? Like, it's like we all get the same 3 minutes up there, and it's kind of the last place that you have to just go and say whatever you want. And if it's not funny, like, it's not a big deal.
You'll know right away.
Yeah, you'll know. I mean, be open to criticism. But the biggest thing is you have to go and you have to do it. It's kind of like working out, right? The hardest part is getting there. Exactly. And then after that, you just have to do it.
Exactly.
But like writing and showing up to the mics and actually performing, and then understand what you like about it, Is it the performance aspect of it? Is it the joke telling? Is it the making people laugh? Is it all of it? Because then you can start exploring other things. You know what I mean? Like, if it's just the performing aspect of it, well, take an improv class, take some acting lessons, join a local theater. You will love your life doing that. If it's more like, I like going and having a social, and that's the other thing is, like, if you go to open mics a couple times in a row, you're immediately going to get a friend group. Like, you will find a friend. So if you don't, I actually have a lot of friends that I've developed that like have never ever done comedy, but we started being friends because they were just like, honestly, it's mostly dudes. they're just lonely guys. It's hard. It's like, I'll tell you what, it is fucking hard for guys to make friends. It's hard for people to make friends, but it's harder for guys to make friends than girls, from what I've seen. And sometimes they just need a place to go, and an open mic. Like, I've had also some girlfriends, but like, there's a lot of people who go to comedy shows and a lot of people that go to open mics by themselves. They're not getting up there and doing comedy, but they want social interaction. They just moved here, or maybe they just don't have many friends, or maybe they're trying to find a new friend group, or maybe they're just trying to lighten the fuck up and laugh. You know what I mean?
Everyone should
And
laugh.
so it is. And it's like, and that's what the environment is. It's like, as scary as stand-up is, it's actually a really like welcoming environment. Like, as long as you're respectful, you'll be fine.
There you go. So are you, leads me to this question. Are there groupies for comedians? The guy or the girl who's like, hey, baby, hey, let me buy a drink after the show here. Let's go. Boom, boom.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it sounds weird, but I mean, are there comedian groupies?
Well, there's definitely comedian groupies. I don't have any. I mostly just have like guys that want to fuck me.
Those people?
But like, I know, I'm just so new at it. You know what I mean? Like, I just like, I'm lucky. Like, if I get to like feature open for a bigger act, I'm still very grateful for that experience. I'm still, I'm definitely doing like basement shows and bar shows and all that stuff. And I've started to get like a couple fans here that'll just kind of show up to shows, or maybe like my social media, so they'll show up to a show or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But mostly the guys that are like doing that to me are just trying to fuck me. But there are definitely people who are groupies that like, even other comics, because it's like, that's how it's all like, being funny is 50% of it. Like, the other 25% of it is being professional, showing up, not getting fucked up before a show. And then the other 25% of that is networking. And that is how you do it, right?
Networking is huge.
Being
I mean,
funny
in anything, networking
huge.
is huge. I mean, any profession. Absolutely.
But that's part of it. So you'll see like comedian groupies, right? That for bigger comedians, you want to meet them, you want to like establish a connection with them, you want them to remember you, because that's like how you get on tour with them. Or I don't even know, I'm not on tour, but like, you know what I mean? Like, I see,
you never know who to talk to, right? You talk to someone and all of a sudden it leads to something else, and
you have no idea. But also like these comedians that like are seeing their idols and all of that, like, these are the people that convince them to make this life choice of being a comedian, right? Because at a certain point it becomes a life choice. And like, it's so much dedication. And so like, if you just like, you meet these people that have had such a huge influence on your life, like, I don't know, it is kind of surreal, right? Of course they're groupies, but then there's also people that are just like, wow, you were funny on stage. You know what I mean?
Let me buy a drink.
Yeah.
So if you could backtrack to when you were 18, what advice would you give Gretchen, knowing what you know now?
You do not have to put up with so much bullshit. You do not have to put up with making other people happy. You really can't just like focus on yourself.
Now you're talking about the comedy end, or just life in general?
Just life in general. I was in my 20s when I started comedy. I was in my late 20s when I started comedy. And at 18, it was just so much unrealistic pressure in some aspects, but then also, but a lot of that unrealistic pressure came from like low self-esteem and low self-worth, and like not understanding like the power and the influence you can have by just like respecting yourself, and like respecting your time, and respecting like just setting boundaries.
Sure.
There's a real importance to boundaries. That's what I would emphasize on. Set your fucking boundaries.
There you go. So what does 2022 look like for you? What's coming up? Or
2022 is a transition year. I need to figure out, I've done all this dabbling, right? And they've all had their own successes. Like I did this bus show that was like pretty successful for what it was.
What is it? I'm sorry.
So a
bus?
Yeah, so I produced the show. It was a comedy show on a bus. So
oh, you know what? I think I saw that. Yes, yeah. As I was researching, yes, I saw. Okay.
So it went really
Nice.
well. And then COVID hit and it kind of shut
Oh,
it down.
fucking
But it was
COVID,
actually,
man.
honestly, I was a little bit thankful because I was gaining so much traction on a very shaky foundation.
Hmm.
And so it kind of gave me an out. So now it's like I need to figure out what I'm going to do with that. I've done the concept, I've tested it, I've done it 12 times. It was 11 in DFW. I did one in New York City. All of them went pretty well. My best one was in New York, which was crazy to me. Um, I also like made a TV show pilot a couple years ago. I did
Okay.
nothing with that. And
So
also,
the bus
oh,
show. When you say bus show, who's on the bus? Or I mean, how's that?
so patrons, right? So it was called Destination Unknown. Now it's
Mhm.
called Comedy Crawl. But basically it was just a party bus, and
Yeah, I
we
was gonna
would
say that's a great
do.
idea.
Thank you.
They have
It's
the
very
bar crawl. I
scalable.
mean, you get the bar crawl. Let's throw some
Hmm.
comedy in. That's
It
a
worked
great
out really
idea.
well.
That's a great idea.
Well, and that's the thing is that like, so now I just need to do it. I have people who come up to me several times, multiple times a month, like different people randomly. They're just like, when are you going to get this done again? And so it's like literally all I have to do is get some money for it because I've done it on my dime.
Mm-hmm.
It was very expensive.
Mm.
It was, and also that was like that was something I was willing to do. That was like my big 2019 thing. I was going to be testing out this concept. So I set the money aside. I had saved all of 2018 for it when I decided I wanted to do this.
Mm.
And I ended up being just a little over breaking even by the end of it, which is crazy because I had some like ones that I really lost money. I mean, I failed a lot during this, but I had learned a lot. And it kind of stemmed from like the two perfect things because I've always had a side hustle of actually like booking transportation for people. It
Okay.
started in high school with prom, and like then in college it was like with the dances there, and then afterwards I started, people would rely on me for weddings, and now it's just like a legitimate side hustle if people need a bus or a black car or whatever. Like, I mean, I've been in ground transportation in some aspect for the last 6 years professionally,
Okay.
but anyway, that was just like a thing that I just always was able to do. And then comedy, and it was just kind of my way of merging the two. So have connections all over the US in transportation. So it's like I could immediately go to Houston or Austin or honestly even Washington DC, or I
Oh,
did it
cool.
in New York. I can go to Chicago. I've got people everywhere. And so
I got my people everywhere.
exactly. But that's the thing is like I have to, the last few years have been a lot of getting my shit together. I got out of debt. It's like I really had to figure out who I am and what my goals are.
Mm-hmm.
And so now that I have gotten myself into this position where I'm able to focus on it, I that's the next step is I need to like it'd be great if I could get like 50 to 100K and really like blow this bitch out of the water. Like why not try like a $1,500 headliner? Why not try a $20,000 headliner? You know,
Exactly.
like
Sure.
you can, it's a very
Whatever.
unique experience. You know, I don't know. I don't know if it, I know it worked at this level. I would like to try it at an increased level and see what happens. I mean, I don't really exactly know what that looks like. Like, I think that's the biggest thing for me is that I didn't go to business school. I have like a bullshit degree. I literally, and I know that doesn't matter, but like,
Mm-mm.
you know, when it comes to like, not necessarily making a business plan, but like making actual, like, I don't know how to get $50,000, you
Right.
know, but
Right.
I got to figure that out, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
That sounds like a great idea. I mean, I like that idea. You got the bar crawl, you got the comedy, GretchYo. Am I saying that right?
Mm-hmm.
GretchYo on the side of the
GretchYo.
bus.
Yeah.
It's
It's
like
like J-Lo.
Groucho, only GretchYo. Okay.
Yeah. Everyone compares it, but I like to compare it to J-Lo.
Oh, J-Lo. Okay, right. I
That's where I
did
got
read that. I
it.
did read that. Well, look, it's been fun having you on. Hopefully, we can do this again sometime.
I would love to anytime.
Yeah, great. So until then, thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
You too.
You're listening to Unmuted with Papamutes.